prepared for last week, so I'm going to use it for.
All right.
So, yeah,
Here we are. Let's go.
Here we
let's
are.
go.
We're
Are we
live.
gonna wait the full 30 seconds or what?
No.
Yeah, maybe give it a 10 seconds or something. It wasn't going live yet, and it would chop off the first 30 seconds. So,
Yeah. Well, we're there, man. 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay, fine. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Authentic Hustle, number 17. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have tuned in. And for the two viewers who are watching us, thank you for staying with us so long.
You are incredible. We love you.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. And this has been a great ride. I mean, what it started and where we are going and what we're doing with the spinning the wheel and everything. This week, guys, we thought we will add some more spice to it and probably bring the spicy trending topic of the week, and what you've been thinking about from the week, and we'll probably talk about it. And of course, the spinning the wheel still stays, and we'll talk the topic and then go to the spinning the wheel.
Yeah, it's just adding some more excellence to an already excellent show.
That's right. That being said, I want to introduce my good friends. My absolute pleasure to introduce our good friend, my co-host and brother, Colin Harms, a visionary entrepreneur and just a great human being. He's the visionary owner of Hypervac Technologies out of Lethbridge, Alberta. If you haven't seen his recent post on how Hypervac happened, his entire story from 8 years ago and how it all happened, you must check it out. It's Colin Harms. Go check it out. They do fantastic work, and he's always positive and a blue sky thinker. And I'm sure Blue Sky podcast is right around the corner, Colin. So, by the way, if you haven't seen Colin's conversation on the Western Synergy podcast, just came out recently, go check it out as well. Yeah. I must tune it. And also meet my very good co-host. Pleasure to meet Kelly Kennedy. Please meet a very lovely and good friend, Kelly. Such an inspiring business development entrepreneur and authority in business development. His most famous show, the Business Development Podcast, has crossed over 240 episodes, featured as a finalist and most likely to be the winner, I'm sure, for the...
This year, but hey, next year.
Yeah, you got it. You're already a winner, man. So it's just cherry on the top. So it's best. The Business Development Podcast, one of the best business development podcasts, and he's also a business development coach and a fantastic human being. Kelly has also started a new a community program called the Catalyst Club. Go check it out. Go check out Kelly Kennedy. Amazing to be co-hosting the show with you all. I'm VJ. Hey, everyone.
Amazing. Well, hey, I can't let you have that because at the end of the day, you are exceptional on your own. You are the CEO and founder of Zadwell, creating software that changes the world. You do a lot too, man. You're too kind, but we're fortunate to be here with you as well. Incredible individual, probably one of the nicest people I've had the pleasure of knowing. I'm blessed to be in this show with both of you. You are both incredible, and I appreciate and love you all.
Love you all. So how are we getting started this show? I mean, should we go check out the trending topic? I haven't prepared anything at all. Let's go check it out and pick the trending topic that we want to pick for the day, and then maybe go from there. You're able to see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I go to the trending section of X, this brings all these different trending topics like Fowler, Hyman, Jeff Skinner, Rossi. This is all trending in Canada, and the Golden Dome. I don't know if you heard about the Golden Dome.
Hey, we could be the 51st state and not pay $68 billion. Agree.
Yeah, is that the topic for the day? I mean, I don't know. It seems to be catching a lot of eyeballs in terms of
there it is. I told Canada, which very much wants to be part of our fabulous Golden Dome. That's a tough topic.
Oh my
and I mean, he closed it with "they're considering the offer." I mean, that's.
I think that's his call to action. He actually thinks that works.
Well,
maybe
don't we
does.
do I have my head in the sand, or do we not already have a defense pact with the United States?
There's no
it not just
contract with the United
automatic
States
that we
for
would be
anything.
part of something for North America, or do we actually have to negotiate this at this point?
This is how it rolls. No contract is a contract, according to them.
Yeah, like
It's
first
the new-
off, like
so this
what are
is
you
what we
gonna
could do
do?
in business.
Not protect Canada? Like that would be stupid. Like I don't know. It's
The
interesting.
interesting thing is, maybe we could talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, we still have to spin, but it is a contract to contract.
Well,
Is it
is
legal
it not
tender?
Here's the other thing, right? Like if you just look at it from the standpoint of why, the Russia-Ukraine thing is so big, it's because they're literally bordering each other, right? Like at the end of the day, Canada is kind of that buffer zone for the United States. It really is, right? Like technically Russia is not all that far from Canada if you go to our Arctic North. At the end of the day, protecting Canada is protecting the U.S. Like, I don't think you can protect the U.S. without protecting Canada too. So it kind of seems like a stupid thing to even have it as a negotiation topic when it's like, obviously, you need Canada to stay Canada.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about like Alaska, right? Because it's right next to like between Russia and Canada, and what is the Golden Dome going to do? I mean, probably it would skip the missile if it comes to Canada, but to just only protect when it comes to Alaska. If you say no, I mean, like I don't, I don't really know.
Well, here's the other thing. We are talking about nuclear weapons here, right? Like at the end of
Right.
the day, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's right.
What are you gonna like?
Yeah, yeah.
Really, you're gonna allow nukes to hit Canada because that's really safe for the United States? Come on. Yeah, that whole thing called wind and fallout. That's a real deal thing.
Yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, I mean, what Trump is trying. I mean, he tried this with Governor Trudeau. I mean, the way he called it, like 51st state, when Trudeau was in, and Carney came in, and I think and Pierre Poilievre took his position, like whatever his position was at that time. He said like, no, that's Canada is not for sale. It's not for sale. I get that part. But I think the long story short, for the next 10, 20, 30 years, I think Canada needs, I mean, this is I could be completely wrong here, but the way I feel is like Canada needs to build its own infrastructure and its own like not commerce, like its own like trading partners worldwide beyond just the US. I think that's a huge leverage that like Trump has today, and I think he's playing completely on trade-based negotiation, right? I think if he can move past that, and if we have global partners like the US does. I just visited Banff the other day and Canmore the other day. I mean, I was telling my wife, I mean, the potential that Canada has, it hasn't fully realized it. It's huge. I mean, US, just the population is like 400 million. I mean, less than 400 million, 380 million or something. And Canada is just 10% of that. And we have the same landmass, almost equal, and the kind of like resource and everything. The potential is like huge, actually, in Trump's own words, huge, right? So if we can think on those lines, and Canada could be that 15 trillion, 20 trillion kind of an economy in the future. I don't think these kind of conversations are going to keep repeating. That's what I think.
I agree completely, but we have to get out of our own way, right? Like at the end of the day, we've talked about it plenty of times on this show. Unity is critical to Canada's success, right? We need everyone in Canada firing in the same direction, on the same page, and we need leadership to start to own that, right? Like, sure, we can have this conversation on a grassroots level, which is what we're doing right now. And we're talking about how Canadian unity is really important. We need the West and the East united and fighting for the same cause. And, I look back to being a kid, and I think maybe this is, and Colin, you'll reflect on this. When we were kids, we sang the national anthem in school every morning.
Yep.
Canadian unity was a thing. It really was. I remember feeling super, super patriotic as a kid. I don't know if you want to call it nationalist or whatever, but I don't think nationalism is necessarily bad if it's a good country.
Right.
But I guess what I'm getting at is that I've seen that erode. Right. And I don't know. I don't know whether that's just me getting older. Who knows? Maybe that's just me getting older too. I'm going to leave that out there and realize that like as a kid, I knew nothing. As an adult, I probably still know way less than I should. But the point is that I definitely have felt the national pride of being Canadian when I was younger. And now we just don't see that same level of national pride. We need somebody to kick that up. kick that up into high gear and make people proud to be Canadian again. Make people proud of this country again. And I'm not talking the Olympics. That is not what's going to do it. Winning the Stanley Cup ain't going to do it. We need true coast to coast unity behind a common good. And that common good is
You know what
Canada.
I was in California a couple weeks ago, and we were just outside Riverside, and it was at during the I don't know 11 at night. We were driving, and we came over the crest. We're on the interstate, and I'm not joking. Like once again, I see the largest American flag I've ever seen again. It seems like no matter where I go, there's a bigger one, right? Like there's
Yeah.
obviously no laws or rules about, like, of course in Canada you could have a flag, but it has to be so small nobody can see it type thing.
Yeah.
This thing is waving, the stars and stripes are waving. And I was driving and I said to Cole, he was navigating, and I said, Cole, take a picture of that thing, get a video of that thing, right? And it led me again. I've been in the United States numerous times on July the 4th.
Yeah.
And how do we do this, from birth to adult stage, where we instill patriotism to Canadians?
Mhm.
I've been there for their parades. I've been there where every lawn, I think the U.S. Postal Service delivers them. Every lawn has an American flag on their lawn on July
Wow.
the 4th. Here, it's almost banned.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, we're going to arrest you if you put that out. Like, you can't have that on your window. Like, outside of the Olympics or sports, when do you see somebody having a Canadian flag? Right? You go into a Walmart anywhere around a national holiday there, and they're selling American flags and everything related to it, from George Washington to whatever. Here, you walk in and they're selling cookies, right? Like I don't know. It's that same thing. How do we have to instill it
Yeah.
when they're young? And I remember, Kelly, I like what you said about singing "O Canada" and that type of thing. I remember, and I lived in a very small town. We said the Lord's Prayer, and then we sang "O Canada."
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to that teacher. I guess maybe she wasn't allowed to teach after that. But those are the things, whatever it may be. How do we do that, and how do we bring that back? And like you said, it's removing those interprovincial borders. It's creating unity. Like the word unity is, I guess, underused and overused.
Yeah.
Right? We don't actually do it, but when they use it, they're doing it on this massive scale, right? We must unite. And okay, well, it starts right here in the hometown. And I'll use this example. I continue to see people say, let's raise money and send it overseas. And I'm 100% for that, right? For this or that. And then they're forgetting about I don't want to call them homeless, but houseless people in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right? They're not giving to that. They're not giving to the local food bank. They're not giving to the local soup kitchen. What makes somebody give to another country, 200 countries away, if you will, but not give to your neighbor?
They get to brag about
That's
that.
unity.
Right? No, well, it's the fact that politicians get to brag about how much of our money they give to other countries, and they don't get that same level of brag if they give to the homeless shelter, even though they should. Like the reality is that's what they should be bragging about. But
Well,
no, it's not as
100%,
big of a flex than if you give to another country.
But I think Canadian unity as a whole has to start in your community,
Yes.
right? And then it grows from there. So.
But once again, I am going to make, sorry, Vijay, I'm just going to make the statement, though, that it's not our damn job. Like, at the end of the day, our politicians have shit the bed with regards to uniting this country. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It is their fault.
Well, you're not.
Yeah, it is their fault. Like, they should have done more to unite this country instead of creating such a polarized system.
That's right.
And you know what? America's no better on this. You guys have equally created an incredibly polarized system. But at the end of the day, I think maybe some Americans can chime in on this. Even though you have a polarized system, your national unity, like your belief in the country, seems to be very solid. Whereas in Canada, we seem to have lost that piece of it, where it's like you can vote for whoever you want, but you can still love your country. I think for whatever reason, Canada has really struggled with that piece of it. And I don't know if it's because, we're so multicultural, or because of immigration, or because we've just stopped caring or stopped making it a priority. But we have something missing here.
I have a few thoughts in terms of Canada. I mean, when I first landed in the US, it was JFK, and I saw a huge US flag. In the as soon as you enter the JFK, the airport, like it's a huge US flag. I saw I couldn't see that elsewhere. Like it is the unity and the patriotism, the national exceptionalism identity, the way Americans identify. I'm a big fan of that. And that being said, like with Canada, I mean, I so believe that Canada has immense potential, and it hasn't been realized fully yet. I have few thoughts in terms of how it can happen. And the future countries that are happening, guys, are people want to many Americans and many like Canadians have left Canada, and they've gone to Singapore, Portugal, and Dubai and whatnot. And the reason they are going there is like because they feel that the $1,000 or whatever they're earning, their savings is depleting every day, right? I mean, it is getting more expensive to live in the country, right? Why is that happening? And I'm sure, like Colin, you've seen it, and Kelly, you've seen it. There are hundreds and thousands of people also crossing the border every single day just for work. Why is that happening? Why are they not able to sustain life being in Canada? So that is a huge problem. I think as much as I think unity is a problem, the East versus the divide is a problem, the polarization is a problem, but also I think Canada is also thinking about keeping its power, keeping its control, keeping the institutions control. I think they have to move away from this. It's a very colonial way of thinking. You have to give the power back to the people in terms. I mean, it's very cliche when I say that, but the way people are actually approaching it is like, don't think about the country's sovereignty, think about individual sovereignty. I think that's a complete shift of thinking, because if the individuals thrive, the countries thrive, right? As simple as that. My money should be worth more. People want to come here. People want to invest in Canada. Yeah. They want to drop in millions of dollars in Canada, so that like, oh, my money is going to multiply if I invest in Canada. I don't think that feeling is there yet. Daniel Smith spoke about it the other day as well. So investors are like very hesitant to invest right now in Canada. So
and one province can't do it, right? Like that's the other problem here, is that we're like, you know, when I see this, being Albertan, I'm Albertan, I love Alberta, right? Born and raised here, Canadian, Albertan. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what Danielle Smith thinks. If she's up there and she's doing her best to promote the country, great. Like, absolutely. I'm proud that she's up there doing that. But she can't do it on her own. We need the remaining provinces to get on board here. And I'm not saying necessarily just with oil and gas. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about with Canada as a whole. What is good for one is good for all. That is the way this country is set up, or it's supposed to be set up. We need to start thinking like that. There needs to be much more effort being made to break down those interprovincial barriers. And the crappy thing about that is that it really is going to have to come from the top. You know, the Prime Minister is going to have to get up and say, listen, we're done. We're done. Whatever your issues are between the provinces, between Quebec and Alberta, or between BC and Alberta, or whatever, this has to end, right? There needs to be legislation passed that completely opens up the barriers in this country and makes us one country, not, you know, whatever it is, 11 provinces, 2 or 3 territories. Like, we have to end this the way that it's set up today.
Right. So are we good to spin the wheel now?
We have a few minutes to talk about the topic.
Let's go spin it, guys. All right.
We'll call it the lightning round.
Yeah.
It's speed dating.
Speed dating.
All right, 3 topics today. I'm going to be quick. Business growth. What does sustainable growth actually mean? Topic number 1. Topic 2, can desalination solve the global water crisis? Interesting. Are we heading toward American-style division? Wow, we just spoke about it, so we don't want to get into it again. I think so. Yeah. Number 1.
About sustainable growth. Yeah, I love it.
All right, let's go.
I for sure can't speak to number 2. So,
what does sustainable growth actually mean in business growth and sustainability? Okay, interesting.
Who wants to tackle it first?
Go ahead, Colin. Kelly, sorry.
You're voluntold, Colin.
I was voluntold, so I'll go. Sustainable growth to me, well, it means one thing. How can I sustain what I'm doing for a long period, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll look back as I look at history. when we look at growth patterns and when we're forecasting that type of thing in my businesses. And how do we sustain it is having proper plans, right? If you don't have a proper plan in place, you can say whatever you want. You can throw a dart. You can cast a vision, right? But without a plan, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty simple. It's cliche, but it's simple. So sustainable growth is actually having a plan, executing on the plan,
Yeah.
and repeating it. So that's my 2 cents. And what do you guys think?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I don't know. It's a tough one. I think, like, I'm not confident that the answer that I'm going to give right now would be the answer that I would give if I had an hour to think about it.
That's why we don't.
Things.
That's
It's
why we
really
don't give you an hour.
Right? It's one of those like, interesting topics where it's like, okay, well, will I think of something completely different by the time this show is done?
You don't make mistakes if you can plan.
That's right.
So shoot.
No, to me, sustainable growth is simply what can you do every single day consistently without hitting a wall, right? It's what are you going to commit to on a consistent basis? Where's your discipline at, your processes, things like that you can commit to every single day, but without hitting the wall. You see it in entrepreneurship all the time. People go through this like massive burst phase, right? Where it's like you see them on LinkedIn, they're posting every day. There's content, gone. As they hit the wall, they burnt out and they can't do it anymore, right? Sustainable growth to me is what can you do consistently? What process do you have consistently that you can follow every single day, small or large, whatever you are comfortable with, that you can do over and over and over again. Let's use the BDP as an example, right? I committed day one with the BDP that I was going to release 2 episodes a week come hell or high water. And I have. I never missed a single episode, and I've never doubled up on episodes. Every episode is a new episode. And I've been able to commit to that. Had I committed to 3 episodes a week, I would have failed horribly because it would have been too much work. But at 2 episodes a week, and the way that I set it up for success in a way that I could sustain it over time. And that's how we've been able to grow to such a large show in such a short period of time, little under 2.5 years at this point. But it's just because I committed to something that I could sustain alongside the work that I have to do on a daily basis. So it's more so just about what can you commit to that isn't going to burn you out. And you know, like I said, you see it all the time with stuff on LinkedIn, with people on LinkedIn where they're going to town, they're promoting their new product and service, and they go. But it's just like 2-week burst or 3-week burst, and then they hit the wall and they're done and they can't keep up with it, right? Success is consistency over time, and we know that.
Yeah. I mean, what does sustainable growth actually mean? I mean, thinking of the way we have delivered software projects to our clients is like, I mean, there are things that happen in terms of like, there are a lot of uncertainty sometimes in terms of like an employee leaves or gets sick or doesn't perform as we expected. And then, I mean, I mean, there are a lot of buzzwords that I can use in terms of like agile, lean, and other things. But I think in terms of like how can we bring the cost to the absolute minimum or zero and make it insignificant cost, but at the same time have the ultimate upside. I think that is something we constantly think about. And today, if people are, of course, using AI tools is important. And of course, those things are important. And that's what comes to me in terms of like having a sustainable growth, bringing your costs down. And think of creative ways you can bring your cost down, do the same thing, have the same impact. I mean, not get the same results, but have the same, like a larger impact with how can you do more with less? I think that's what we are constantly thinking every project that we execute. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. And something I'm discovering in terms of like also to be able to grow outside your comfort zone, outside your like out of the box thinking is not to have as many commitments in a week because the less meetings I have, I've seen myself to be more productive. It's like, of course, making more calls, meeting more people, it's an opportunity, but also to be able to have the thinking hat on, the creative hat on. You're only able to perform better when you have like less noise in your day. So I'm trying to remove more appointments and probably have more time for me to be able to do produce more. So because there's only 24 hours a day. All of us have only
Right, yeah.
24 hours a day.
That's right.
And how can you make the most out of your day? That's what I'm constantly thinking, to be sustainable one day at a time. So that's where I'm
You know
coming.
what? I'll break it down on a business level for myself. One of the things I've kept on my desk is don't fall in love with what you do, fall in love with what they need,
Mm,
right? So I can continue providing the equipment that we do forever, but if I had the iPhone 5S and that's all Apple and Steve Jobs ever came out with, that company would probably be done,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So we have to stop that because my sell sheet says we're the best at what we do and we love what we do. We love it so much we build it, right? But if we can't fall in love with it, right? To sustain our business and continue to sustain the growth, we need to listen to what they need, right? So I think that's everybody's business, right? We have to continue to evolve and find out what the customer needs. And each one of us has a different customer, right? And we're reaching out to a different platform complete, or from a platform to another platform completely. So,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I actually put that on my desk because I read it every morning, right? Until I find a better quote, but it's true, right? That's kind of how I think I just looked at it on my desk again, and I'm like, yeah, that actually falls right into sustainable growth.
Yeah,
Right?
like it's you have to continue to innovate. You can't get stale.
Yeah.
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 Right. And that's kind of like the Catalyst Club, right? Kelly, it's kind of funny because you said you committed to two shows a week, and that's all you could do, and it's a lot. I think it's propelled you to do even more. So you're like, oh, geez, I have more days left in the week now. I've got really good at this. So I'm going to do the Catalyst Club and more community things. And it's amazing, though, because had you had the Catalyst Club and all of that planned that out and had that there and said, I'm going to do the two shows, plus I'm going to do this, there's no way, right? You
Yeah.
would have said, no, I can't do that. So
Yeah.
you sustained your growth, you moved into the next one, right?
Yeah.
Now, how do
Yeah.
you sustain that and continue to grow?
Well, you consistently level up, right? The longer that you're in the game, whether that's business development or whether that's entrepreneurship or whatever you're
Yeah.
doing, you get comfortable with the next level, right? So you hit this level where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm surprised I can do all this. And then you're like, you get efficient at it. And then it's like, oh, wait, now I got more time. Maybe I can do this next thing. And then, we have Authentic Hustle. And then it's like, okay, well, now maybe we can do something more. And we have Catalyst Club, right?
Yeah.
And it's so like,
Yeah.
it's like, what's next? What's next? Here's the thing. There will always be the next step if you're willing to take it's actually super fitting because my show today on the BDP was talking about that next step. Just take action. Because what I've found is that every single time I've taken action on something, even if I don't know how to do it, like the Catalyst Club
Yeah.
is a great example. I had no idea how to do that, but I took one step towards it. And the next thing was like, oh, now you need to do this. Now you need to do this. And then in no time flat, that mountain of work or that thing that looks unachievable, you take little bites at it and eventually you're standing at the top. But you just have to take action, and every action reveals the next one required.
Well, and,
Yeah.
and I'll just pop this in here too. VJ, I sent Kelly a text last night. I don't know what time it was, like 9 or 9:30 or
Don't
something.
reply to this, Kelly.
The-
Reply
the-
in the morning.
The helpline was, don't reply to the. But that's kind of like fishing. If you've ever fished for a rainbow trout or something like an active fish,
Yeah.
I know if I put the lure in the water, he's gonna be biting, right? But I knew for whatever reason my phone wasn't giving me the send later option on the side, and I hit send. But the whole point was something that Kelly created here in the last few days or whatever resonated with me for my own business, and I'm like, I have to throw this out there,
Yeah.
right? And he was good. He didn't reply until this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's not before 7 though.
It was pretty early this morning.
Yeah,
He was on
yeah.
it, but it was one of those things where what I love, I don't want to get stagnant, and I don't want to sit back, how they say on your laurels or whatever, and just sit there
Mhm.
and enjoy it like a Kodak, like they call that a Kodak moment. Well, the Kodak moment died because they didn't go digital, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I just want to continue to go up, right? It doesn't have to, like you said, it doesn't have to be this crazy trajectory, right? It just has to keep moving. It just
Yeah.
has to keep moving forward. So that's why I'll encourage anyone out there, just send the text. Doesn't matter what time it was. And then I realized this morning I woke up at 4:30 to go to the gym. And the first thing I remembered is I was talking to this guy yesterday, such a minor thing about getting an eaves trough put on one of my garages. And I forgot to text him. I said, I'll send you the address. So I went to put it in there and hit send later, and I hit send. And so hopefully this guy doesn't sleep with his phone by his head, because he's going to wake up at 4:30 and go, holy frick, who's this guy? he's looking for a quote at 4:30 in the morning. But if he's looking to sustain his growth in his business, he still hasn't replied. So maybe I'm out.
Ah.
The processes need work.
Yeah. Once you get to know me, you're going to realize you may get a text at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
One other point I just want to share about growth and things like that. I mean, as much as like we all do more. Like we want to do more. Like I add an extra thing. I love that. I know, Colin, you love that. We all love that. So, but also, I recently realized I think there's a superpower is also to be able to say no, not to yourself or maybe to others. Like sometimes stop and say no. That is a way to also sustainably grow, because like the time is finite, because that's the ultimate, right? I mean, there's no 48 hours in a day. So if when you say no, and if you give opportunity for you to breathe, and that's also a sustainable way. I just wanted to point that out. And I think that kind of brings us to the close today, gentlemen. What do you think?
Love it.
Yeah. All right.
It's great. I liked the topic, and I like you guys, and I like all the listeners, if we have any.
That's right. Well, 17 episodes. We're on the right path. What is it? 21 episodes, and we're in the top.
That's right.
So we're getting closer every day.
We're gonna get there. All right. Thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thanks
in.
everybody.
We'll,
Yeah.
See you next week.
Later, hustlers.
Bye.